We brought back a good friend of the show, Joel Rubin, to further discuss everything taking place. He is a former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, and so many topics, of course, to discuss. But first, I want to get your reaction on Paul Whelan. Do you think that this was a proper setup to eventually get him back on U.S. soil?
Yeah, Marcel, I'm really glad that you're highlighting this tonight. Paul Whelan's detention is unjust, and for our Secretary of State, our top diplomat, to get in the face directly of the Russian foreign minister and demand that Mr. Whelan be freed, be released, that's a good thing to do. It demonstrates to the Whelan family that the concern of Paul is at the highest levels of the U.S. government. It demonstrates that this is a serious part of our agenda, and it tells Russia quite directly what our goals are. So nothing better than direct contact in this case, and I think it's a good thing that Secretary Blinken did it.
Yeah, and we mentioned earlier, though, that this was the first meeting with top diplomats since Russia invaded Ukraine, but really there was no consensus on the war taking place in Ukraine. So where does that leave us at this time?
Well, what we're seeing right now is that both sides are essentially arming up and getting ready for a more aggressive spring. Major battles are underway right now in Ukraine. There have been major tank battles, and the tanks are coming for the Ukrainian side. And this is, in a sense, this was a last window of direct contact for Secretary Blinken and Foreign Minister Lavrov to talk about how to back off. And the message from the U.S. is that Putin needs to back off. The UN said so, as well as the G20 was going to. It said that Russia blocked a final communique of that nature. So it was a critical discussion to let Lavrov know the United States is not going anywhere, nor our allies in supporting Ukraine. But it does look like it's going to be a more intense military conflict in the coming months because that just seems to be where Russia wants to go.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it was a critical discussion, but it was also very brief. Blinken did use that time, though, to urge Russia to return to the New START treaty. Do you think Russia will budge with this?
You know, Russia, they're playing games with nuclear weapons recklessly. This is just one more example. Vladimir Putin has threatened the use of nuclear weapons before, has attacked nuclear facilities inside of Ukraine. This is a treaty that's in both countries' interests. It's one that not only goes to what Ashley was describing as setting limits on nuclear weapons levels, but also provides inspections for us into Russia and Russia into the U.S. For Russia to exit this treaty is irresponsible. It's an important guardrail for global nuclear nonproliferation. It looks like that's how Russia wants to play it. They've been violating this treaty for a year anyways, but it's important to have nuclear arms treaties because these are the world's most dangerous weapons. 95% of the nuclear weapons in the world are in the hands of the United States and Russia. We have to have an effective arms control arrangement. Russia exiting is very irresponsible.
Yeah, we're talking about powerhouses here across the globe. Before this summit that took place, though, Blinken also stopped in two former Soviet republics that included Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. So what was the purpose of that visit? Did it help out in any way with, remaining in contact with other places?
Yeah, Marcel, what we're seeing is that the countries that are near Russia are the ones that are most concerned about Russia. Eastern Europe, President Biden met with what's known as the Bucharest Nine a couple of weeks ago. That's the eastern flank of NATO. Those are countries that were in the Soviet bloc during the Cold War. They don't want Russia to invade them. They are looking at the United States and NATO as their security blanket. Same goes with the stands and these countries that Secretary Blinken visited. Everyone's afraid of what Russia will do next. And that's why taking this stand right now against Russian invasion of Ukraine is so important. It gives confidence to these countries that they know that they have security from us and from our allies. And it's these kinds of meetings and these visits that continue to maintain that type of support that these countries want so that they don't have to be awake every night wondering about when they'll be invaded next or if they'll be next.
Yeah, a symbolic stop there. Joel Rubin, as always, thank you so much for your expertise here on the show. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Marcel.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Stay with us.